Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session on differentiation strategies for multilingual and mixed ability classrooms. As Rick Riordan said, fair isn't everyone getting the same thing. Fair is everyone getting what they need to succeed. Let's get started. And before we get started, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to Miss Asna for giving me this opportunity. As IB educators, we constantly strive to honor diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, today we'll explore practical strategies that help us support every learner, regardless of their language backgrounds or ability level. Before we proceed, let's meet and greet. So, once again, hello everybody. I am Zenab, IBPYP educator and service and action coordinator at my present school. I have held several leadership roles and I'm always striving to nurture inclusive, inquiry driven spaces where students truly take ownership of their learning. Alongside as my role, I am also a NEASC school visiting team member, which has been an enriching experience for me. What excites me most is collaborating with educators worldwide and making authentic, meaningful connections across classrooms and communities. One fun fact about me, I love seeing students' eyes lit up when they make connections. Let's get started. So, if you see this scenario here, if you see and try to understand this, you will completely agree with me when I say our PYP classrooms are increasingly diverse. Students don't come to us with the same learning pace, learning backgrounds, or strengths. And that's not a challenge, that's an opportunity for all of us. Mixed ability means we get to design learning engagements that are differentiated and inclusive, where every child can access the curriculum in their own unique ways. Here comes in multilingualism, on the other hand, which adds richness to classroom integrations, interactions, and the way ownership is taken up. Languages are not just tools of communication, they are cultural identities. By valuing students' home languages, we empower them to bring their whole selves into the classroom. Together, these realities remind us that inquiry in PYP is never one size fits all. It is about voice, choice, and ownership, making learning meaningful for all learners, not just some. So, when we talk about this scenario here, let's see something about all the classrooms. So, when we talk about mixed ability classrooms, this is what it really looks like. Let's pause here and look at the linguistic diversity in a typical IBPYP classroom. Here, which I'm sharing the scenario, about 40% of learners speak English as their primary language. 26.7% speak Hindi, 16.7% Arabic, and 10% French, and 6.7 are the students, percentage of other students who speak other languages. Now, what does this pie chart really tells us? It's not just about percentages. It's about perspectives. Every slice represents not just a language, but a cultural lens here, a way of thinking, and a lived experience that learners bring with them. When we talk about multilingualism in classrooms, it means students are constantly navigating more than one linguistic world. For some, English might be the language of instruction, but not the language of home or emotions. For others, they may be learning subject content while simultaneously decoding a new language. This is where differentiation becomes critical. As educators, we design learning only for the 40% English group. We risk leaving behind the other 60%. But if we consciously weave in translanguaging strategies, visuals, peer collaborations, and scaffolded vocabulary, we are not just teaching content, we are validating identities and empowering learners. So, this pie chart is more than numbers. It's a reminder that multilingualism is not a barrier, it's an asset, and our role is to leverage it as a strength in mixed ability classroom. Moving ahead, let's understand in the IB, every child is considered a language learner. So, understand here that multilingualism is not just about speaking different languages, it's more than that. It's about identity, culture, and perspectives. When we embrace multilingualism, we give our learners the confidence to express themselves authentically. Moving on, we'll try to understand what does IB says about this. IB also tells us that language is central to all learning in the PYP. It shapes identity, supports inquiry, and enables learners to become confident communicators in more than one language. By valuing home languages, fostering multilingualism, and integrating literacy across subjects, the PYP promotes international mindedness and meaningful connections. So, I would request you all to stay updated with resources, strategies, and discussions on my IB portal. Regularly visit, ensure you remain connected, inspired, and supported in strengthening language learning in your classroom. To brief about this, here we see the language learning traffic organizer. So this has been crafted by me, and very soon you'll find this on LinkedIn and shared with the community. So the language learner in the PYP, um, it's not just about learning words. It's about developing identity, fostering international mindedness, becoming literate, engaging in inquiry, and building the skills to communicate meaningfully with the world. So, the language learner is a confident communicator. They express their identities beautifully. The language profiles, then they work on the language portraits. They develop international mindedness. They become engaged inquirers and also become literate. Up next, I'm sharing with you one another strategy, which is the language portrait. A learner language portrait can absolutely be used as a strategy for differentiation in PYP. Now, you may ask me why it supports differentiation. I'll explain. See, this supports differentiation by giving a personalized insight. It gives teachers a clear picture of each learner's language background, strengths, and needs. It informs planning. Teachers can design tasks that builds on a learner's home language while scaffolding their additional language. This also affirms identity. It validates each child's culture and language, which motivates learning. Now, maybe you might be thinking about how it becomes a differentiation strategy. Well, I'll help you understand. See, you can work on this with flexible grouping. Use this portraits to form groups based on shared strength. Example, home language or literacy level, or to mixed learners for peer support, and plan varying levels of challenge by aligning activities and engagements with the learner profiles. This supports language as tools. So, portraits can highlight where a learner may need visuals, glossaries, translation tools, or extra oral practices. One more very big thing is the family partnership. Since portraits include family input, teachers can connect home and school strategies for language growth. If I say in short, a language portrait is, or maybe a portrait isn't just documentation. It's a differentiation tool because it helps teachers design responsive learning experiences that match where each learner is in their language journey. I hope you are still connected with me. Moving on, let's try to hunt what is the context of this with IBPYP. So, in the IBPYP, multilingualism is viewed as a strength and an essential part of international mindedness. Learners who use more than one language are able to access multiple perspectives, build empathy, and connect meaningfully across cultures. It's not only they are restricted or stick to any one thing, you know, they connect meaningfully across different cultures. So as you can also see, I have mentioned some bullets here where this is all from IB. The source is IBPYP, it's my IB portal. If you see language is central to learning, IB also preaches that students bring diverse language repertoires. We all know that, we all agree. Multilingualism is an asset. And the last, authentic PYP multilingualism practices. Sharing some with you, encourage students to research in their home language and share back in whatever mandate language you have for your school. Use translanguaging. Switch between languages for meaning making. Please understand, for meaning making. Displaying multilingual signage, word walls, and student work. Invite parents or community members to contribute in their language. Promotes This highly promotes international mindedness by valuing and celebrating diverse linguistic backgrounds. Moving on to understanding what is translanguaging. So, if we talk about translanguaging, I would say, okay, I'll explain you through some examples. Um, Maybe bilingual word wall. Okay, so if your unit is on energy, you can put a vocabulary like solar energy in English, Saur Urja in Hindi, and or something in Arabic or French also. And students can contribute translations from their own language, building a shared resource. Then maybe the next strategy could be group discussions during inquiry task. Allow students to brainstorm in their home language, then present the final idea in English. For example, two students discuss the concept of renewable resources in Hindi and then explain it in the class in English. Um, Maybe then you can take it forward. The inquiry would be authentic. Maybe the next strategy which you can take up is dual language text or pairing. This provides short reading in English and a supporting summary in another language. Also, let students write their own summaries. Some of the strategies that one more strategy is the creative expressions. In reflection journals, allow students to write part in their home language and part in English. For example, I understood photosynthesis as something in their home language. पौधे भोजन बना सकते हैं. Maybe plants make food, and in English it is plants prepare food using sunlight. So this also gives them an opportunity. Then the next example could be the classroom routines. Start the day with greetings in multiple languages. The small act builds inclusivity and normalizes multilingualism. You must be thinking why translanguaging matters. See, the first is it validates students' identity by valuing their home language. Second, it bridges gaps in understanding. A learner may grasp a concept better in their first language and then transfer it into English or vice versa. It also boosts confidence for multilingual learners who may otherwise feel restricted. It helps collaboration. Peers can support each other across languages. Think of translanguaging like giving learners a bridge instead of forcing them to swim across the river in just one language. We're building on we're building a bridge that uses all the languages so they can cross confidently and reach understanding faster. Just explaining more with examples from IB. Translanguaging is an instructional strategy where students are encouraged to use all the language resources, not just the language of instruction, to think, understand, and express themselves. It doesn't mean mixing languages randomly. Please understand. It doesn't mean mixing languages from here and there. It means purposefully allowing learners to use their home languages alongside the school language to deepen comprehension, make connections, and show what they know. That's it. So let's now move on to seeing what exactly it is. So if you can see the five strands here. So now think of translanguaging like giving learners a bridge, right? As I already said, instead of forcing them to swim across the river in just one language, we are building using these strands a bridge that uses all the language. Up next, I'm sharing one example with you. This is a scenario of PYP for a class is exploring how energy transforms and sustains life. A student reads an article about solar energy in Hindi. Another student shares how his grandparents describe energy saving practices in Arabic or French. A third student shares his research in another language. Together, they bring insight into the classroom inquiry, broadening perspectives and enriching the collective understanding. So here you have given them voice, choice, and ownership. Moving on, let's reiterate that in the IBPYP, multilingualism means encouraging students to use all the languages as tools for learning, for expressing who they are, and for connecting as global citizens. Moving on to another very important thing, which is the PYP language tenets. Now, what are the language tenets? See, it's very basic, very simple, and now it's all there with all of us. So, the language tenets, we all know, gives a structure for understanding language in learning, and differentiation strategies make that structure inclusive by tailoring supports and challenges for multilingual and mixed ability learners. So it's just making it authentic, easy, and rendering that support. Moving on to understand, let's quickly unpack language for learning, that is differentiation in process. The language of learning is about the vocabulary, grammar, and structures learners need to access and understand concepts. In a multilingual or mixed ability classroom, not all learners arrive with the same language toolkit. So we need to understand this. Differentiation here means adjusting the content of language support. For example, beginners may need visual glossaries, translation supports, or sentence starters, while more proficient learners might be challenged with synonyms, idiomatic expressions, subject specific terminology. By tailoring vocabulary support, we make sure every learner has the language tools to engage meaningfully with the curriculum. Let's explore language for learning, differentiation in just a process. Okay. All right. Yeah. Differentiation in process. So, the language for learning is the language learners use to think, inquire, and collaborate. This is about process, how learners use language to make meaning and construct understanding. See, differentiation here involves scaffolding these processes. For instance, um, like beginner language learner may need guided question stems, structured talk frames, or supportive roles in group work. Okay, and more advanced learners, on the other hand, can be given open ended prompts, leadership roles in discussions, or tasks requiring them to generate higher order questions. By differentiating the process, we ensure all learners can participate actively and productively in inquiry. Let's grasp language through learning and differentiation in product. Okay, so we started with process, now product. Okay, initially we had a talk about, we discussed the tenants, then we moved on to our process, and now the product. All right. So, in short, the IBPYP language tenant of learning, for learning, and through learning provides us with a powerful lens to see where and how language connects to inquiry. See, differentiation is how we make these tenants inclusive by adjusting content, process, and product. We support multilingual and mixed ability learners to succeed, not by lowering expectation, but by meeting them where they are and challenging them to grow. Obviously, you must be thinking, why this matters so much? Why the tenants? See, let's dive into the why of language tenants. Language matters in multilingual and mixed ability classrooms. Then, why? It is because it is the tool through which all learners access knowledge, express identity, and connect with others. It ensures equity. How? By giving some learners the support they need to access learning, and others the extension they need to be challenged, while fostering inclusion, collaboration, and international mindedness. So, with all together, why are we doing this? It's basic. Let's recapitulate. Multilingualism is not a barrier, it's a strength. Research shows that multilingual learners have enhanced problem solving and cognitive flexibility. In the IB, multilingualism directly connects to learner profiles. Being open minded, caring, and effective communicators. If we see why this matters in IBPYP, so here is a brief. Multilingualism in the PYP matters because it values identity, builds deeper learning, and fosters international mindedness. Moving on to understanding mixed ability in multilingual classrooms. See, most of us teach in classrooms where students have varying levels of language proficiency, ability, and learning styles. That's the beauty of PYP. Diversity is our classroom reality. So nobody can run from it. No, no educator. So, what does this look like? In the PYP classroom, diversity is the norm. We all agree to it. You'll find learners with a wide range of language proficiency from beginners to fluent speakers. Students also learn at different speed with varied learning styles and strength. The their diverse cultures, their diverse cultural background, I must say, their diverse cultural backgrounds enrich classroom. How? They enrich the classroom discussions while their prior knowledge shapes unique entry points into inquiry. Together, this creates a dynamic learning environment where differentiation and inclusion are essential. Of course, with every diverse classrooms comes in challenges. So these challenges are real. I completely agree and I can feel you all there. Sometimes instructions don't land because of language barriers. Sometimes participation is unequal, and often planning differentiated activities and tasks and engagements can feel overwhelming. I can understand. Yet, with every challenge comes an opportunity. Multilingual mixed ability classrooms allow peer to peer teaching, build agency, and bring cultural richness to every unit of inquiry. Trust me, every unit of inquiry. So, moving on to another aspect, which is differentiation. As Callan and Tomlinson said, differentiation is a teacher's proactive response to learner needs. Differentiation is what learn, how they showcase their learning, with and where are they learning. It's not about creating 25 lesson plans. It's about being proactive, planning multiple access points so every learner can succeed. It's simple. See, you understand the matrix of it. Differentiation in IBPYP ensures every learner's needs are met, right? Tailoring the content they engage with, the processes they use to learn, the products they create to demonstrate understanding, and the environment in which they thrive. All of this fostering equity, inclusion, and meaningful learning for all. To make this easier and easy to understand also, here is something that I've already made a graphic organizer to understand different strategies that can help us apply differentiation in our classrooms. This is already there with the community. In IB, in PYP, differentiation is naturally embedded. We already plan for voice choice and ownership. Our challenge is to be intentional in embedding these strategies in every learning engagement. Okay, to make it like I'll simplify it. Okay, so see, I have strategically divided this strategies for multilingual learners and mixed ability learners. So first we'll discuss this. See, multilingual learners thrive when we recognize their language profiles. Okay, when we scaffold their growth and we give them multiple entry points into learning. So there are some strategies for doing this, like building on home languages, using visuals, scaffolding academic language, flexible grouping. And how are we going to do this? Through visual thinking routines, translanguaging, word banks, sentence starters, buddy systems, and technological support. It's not that difficult to understand. And vice versa, if we try to understand strategies for mixed ability learners, then we have these here. In mixed ability classroom, our goal is to create entry points for every learner while challenging them to grow. One way through is one way is through a task where everyone explores the same concept but at a different level of complexity. Another is open ended inquiry. These are questions with no single right answer, which allows students to think at their own level of depth. Then you have choice boards, where choice boards are another favorites. They give students ownership by letting them choose how to show their understanding. We also use flexible grouping, shifting between mixed ability groups for collaboration and same ability groups for focused practice. My favorite, my all time favorite, solo taxonomy rubrics. Solo taxonomy rubrics make learning progressions visible and help students self assess their depth of understanding. And finally, scaffolding with visual supports ensures that learners who need more structure have the right tools, while those ready for more independence can extend further. So, together, these strategies create a classroom where every child feels included, challenged, and successful. So, I hope you're going to use them. Moving on to sharing with you some practical PYP examples. So, let's look at some examples. In an energy unit, some students create posters while others design infographics. In a nutrition unit, ELL students use sentence frames like my food is healthy because the reason. And these are simple yet powerful ways to adapt. Moving ahead, we have a case study where it's a PYP2 scenario, the life cycle unit, and supporting a multilingual mixed ability class. We have Miss Jenny, a grade 2 teacher, working on a unit about life cycles. So, what is the challenge in the class? Two new students who recently moved from Spain and speak very little English. Then, several students who are fluent readers and already know about butterflies and frog life cycles. A few learners who struggle with decoding and need phonics support. And then one student who is very curious but needs frequent scaffolding to stay focused. Miss Jenny's challenge here is how can she make sure that all students, regardless of learning proficiency or ability, are engaged, learning, and able to demonstrate their understanding of life cycles. So please take a moment to pause the video here and brainstorm. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. This way, we create a bank of strategies from educators around the world. So, while you're brainstorming, what are you going to think about? Think about what support would you give the two multilingual learners here. Okay, think about this real life classroom situation. So, anybody could be in place of Miss Jenny. You could be the one feeling this. So also think about how would you challenge the fluent readers who already know the basics. What scaffolds could help the struggling readers then? And how could you make sure everyone has an entry point into the unit? So this is your moment where you will pause the video and brainstorm. Please fill in the comment section, and I would love to see your brainstorming there. If I move on with the what are the possible adaptations, let's discuss and let's hear me. See, let's look at now how Miss Jenny could adapt her life cycle unit for this diverse group of learners. For the two multilingual learners, I suppose she can use visuals, label diagrams, and even bilingual word bank so they can connect vocabulary in both languages. For a fluent readers, she can offer tiered research task, maybe asking them to compare different animal life cycles or create their own mini animal books, journals, or manuals. The struggling readers, I believe, might use graphic organizers, sentence starters, or phonic based word cards to build confidence while still engaging in inquiry. And to promote agency, Miss Jenny might have set up a choice board where students pick how they want to show their understanding. Like, for example, maybe they want to show their understanding through a drawing, a story, or a role play. And finally, she can use peer support and flexible grouping so that every child learns both from the teacher and from each other. I don't really want to make this session overwhelming for any of you. So it's moving towards the conclusion. Before I conclude, let's quickly um, recapitulate what are the key takeaways today. So, as educators, we step into classrooms filled with diversity, not as a challenge, but as a powerful asset. We today have identified or recapitulated differentiation is how we honor this diversity and ensure that every learner's journey is valued. And now, to conclude, let's walk away remembering this. Diversity is not a challenge, but an asset. And differentiation is our most meaningful response to it, ensuring equity, inclusion, and success for all learners. I sincerely request you all try one strategy tomorrow, whether it's a word wall or a choice board, and notice the shift. I am sure you all will be extremely proud. So that's the wrap. Thank you for being such an engaged community. Let's continue to share strategies and grow together. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or through Gmail or through Instagram. My IDs are here. Let's be connected through Teacher Tribe International Community. Also, you can drop in your comments. I will definitely come back to read, answer, and if you have some pointers, some skinny or fat questions, some cloudy or clear sky questions, feel free. Any moment if you're feeling that, oh, you're growing now, please drop a message or maybe a heart. And if you feel you're glowing now, drop a heart. And if you feel that you're growing and you've grown from the beginning of the session till here, please do drop a heart for me and for your learning also. And that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you. Have a good day.